Everyone. Good, very, very early morning to those of you who've got up in the US. We really appreciate it. It is so inspiring to see the traction that this campaign has gained recently, and to frankly see so many of you taking time out of your Friday to listen to what we're going to tell you today about the Green Protocols. But before we get into the detail of the session, I just wanted to give you a little bit of background into the Green Pledge and the campaign, and really just sort of set the scene a little bit for you. So, as many of you know, I spent 10 very happy years living and working in Texas, and it's so nice to hear Shireen mentioning that I'm a member of the State Bar of Texas, of which I'm extremely proud. And you know, from my office in downtown Houston, on a clear day, I could look and I could see the refineries out on the Gulf Coast. And when we've been away for the weekend, we'd drive back along the freeway, and I loved looking at the nodding donkeys. I drove 30 miles to work every day in my Dodge Grand Caravan minivan, and I filled it up with gas at $3 or less a gallon. All my clients were energy companies. All my work was hydrocarbon-based. And I saw my clients evolving, embracing ESG principles in their practices, and I didn't really take any notice of it. My job was to decide their cases. My job was to advise them on their disputes, really nothing more. And although I really thought I was quite environmentally aware in my personal life, professionally, it was really kind of someone else's problem. And there's a fairly trite saying which goes something along the lines of all you have to do is wake up and change. And for me, I woke up and changed back in 2018 when I was chairing a major energy arbitration in Houston. And at the end of the hearing, I looked at the wall of printed documents behind me, and I realized not a single binder had been opened during the course of the previous 2 weeks of hearing. And really, everything had been done on screen. And, you know, to my credit in that case, I was chairing the matter, as I say. I had insisted on electronic bundles. But with my co-arbitrators, we were cautious, and lawyers always are. And we said, well, we just have a printed set, just in case the technology didn't work. And that wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough to do that. So at that moment, I began to look at the available technology and basically examine why I thought the technology might fail. And all the technology was there. I looked at it and I couldn't understand why. An arbitration that I was conducting in 2018 really looked very, very similar to my first arbitration in 1998. Frankly, all that had really changed was that the submissions had got longer, as we all know. And so the technology was there, but we weren't using it. We weren't embracing paperless arbitrations. We weren't taking advantage of video conferencing to deliberate remotely as tribunal members, or to use it more in a more sophisticated way for witnesses. It was certainly there. It was there to help us run arbitrations in a more efficient way, in a more cost-effective way, and fundamentally it was also there to help us reduce the carbon footprint of an arbitration. And we just weren't using it for any of those purposes. So, as Shireen says, from then on, I put my hand up and said, as many of you know, that I would endeavor to run my arbitrations in a more environmentally friendly way, and I would encourage parties appearing before me to do so as well. And from then on, the Green Pledge was born, and then the campaign evolved from there. And you know, I cannot thank enough the amazingly committed and dedicated steering group members. We have over 40 people from all across the world, a highly diverse group of individuals who have really brought the campaign to life. And although there is going to be a fair bit of talking today, let's be clear about this. Today isn't about talking. Today is about action. And as an arbitration community, we are really good at talking. We love talking. Before we were all confined to our homes, we would not think anything of jumping on a plane to go to conferences all over the world, speak at conferences, listen at conferences sometimes, pretend to listen at conferences, network, socialize. Oh, we loved it. And we knew we were fortunate. I don't think I have ever been in a job where people have so obviously loved and been passionate about what they do. But we were fundamentally insulated from our behavior. And I really think we were pretty blind to its consequences. So today isn't about talk, as I say. Today is about action. It's about how we build on the steps many of us have already taken to reduce the impact of our arbitration practices. And I really don't want to see the Green Pledge being debated at conferences. I want to see it being lived. And the Green Protocols today are there to help us do that. They're a start. They are very much not the complete answer, nor are they in any way perfect, although frankly what the working group have done in an incredibly short space of time is absolutely phenomenal. But they are simply a roadmap to change. They're nothing more than that, and I don't want us to lose sight of that. They are a guide for all of us to change. So signing the Green Pledge isn't enough, nor is talking about it, nor is spending time arguing whether a high-value arbitration has a larger carbon footprint than a low-value dispute, or we just don't have the luxury of that time. You don't need me to tell you all how wasteful the practice of international arbitration can be. I can hit you with data and statistics. I can talk about the tons of carbon that each arbitration is responsible for, the long-haul flights, the mountains of bundles, as I say, the unnecessary travel to the unnecessary meetings. But fundamentally, I think deep down, we all knew how wasteful our practices were. We just all thought it was somebody else's problem. And also we quite liked the glamour of it all, and frankly I miss seeing everyone in person now, as we all do. But we're now in a climate emergency. And we have to do two things to respond to that emergency. We have to mitigate and we have to adapt. And I think we've actually all been really surprised. Certainly I have, being a real cynic sometimes. I've been really surprised as to how, as a community, we've adapted to the pandemic and how we've pivoted really pretty seamlessly to virtual hearings and to conducting events online such as this one. And so many people have come up to me and said now they're real converts to electronic bundles. And I've rarely been prouder than I chaired a hearing even before the pandemic, and I saw all three arbitrators all sitting there marking up our documents on screen. There's real converts to the idea of reducing travel. And this is absolutely vital when you think that 93% of our emissions from international arbitration are a direct result of flying, particularly business flights. So the pandemic has shown us that we can adapt our practices to mitigate climate change. And the change to our working because of the pandemic is the biggest change I have seen in international arbitration since I began practicing almost 25 years ago now. But my point is we didn't endlessly debate it. We didn't agonize over which was the best online platform, all the complexities. We just got on and did it because we had to, because there was no alternative. And being very, very frank with you all this morning, I don't think that we have an alternative now. We have to reduce our carbon footprint. We have to each take personal responsibility for that. And we have to change. And we can do it for many, many reasons. We can do it to stay relevant. We can do it to be more efficient. We can do it to please our clients. We can do it to deal with our guilt. We can do it to appeal to new hires. We can do it to reduce costs. It really doesn't matter why we do it. What matters is that we make that change. And you may sit there and think that refusing to use hard copies or to reduce the number of hard copies you produce in your next arbitration won't make a difference. It will. Choosing to take one witness over video rather than flying a team of lawyers to interview them will make a difference. And we all have to understand that It is those small steps that do add up to a very big change. So in my mind, using the Green Protocols, adapting them as you see fit, picking and choosing from the bits that you want to do, leaving the ones that don't work for you, it's fine. But using the Green Protocols isn't really a choice. It's an obligation. And the working group have done such a tremendous job in putting these roadmaps together for us. That's what they are, they're a roadmap. And without being too trite about it, to use a trite word, it's the start of a journey. And I am really, really excited to see where we can get to as a community. And